Welcome to the Get Sculpted podcast. We're your hosts, Tijana,
Jordana,
and Marilyn.
This podcast is all about cutting through the noise and giving you the real deal on fat loss, muscle building, and what it really takes to build your 2.0 sculpted self, inside and out. Our motto is to work smarter, not harder. We'll break down science-based and actionable strategies to optimize your metabolism, ditch the diets, and create a sustainable, fit, and healthy lifestyle that actually works for you. So if you're ready to get stronger, not just skinnier, and embrace a body you love, hit that subscribe button and let's get sculpted. All right. Welcome back to the Get Sculpted pod. It is Coach T here, kicking off with a solo episode. We're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. This is for the woman who is in a plateau and doing a lot of the right things, but not seeing the results she should be for all that effort. We're going to talk about how you're going to go from soft to sculpted in 3 simple steps. We want to keep this actionable and concise. So let's dive in. Now, this is for you if you are eating clean, you prioritize movement, you certainly don't feel like you're completely missing the mark here when it comes to a healthy lifestyle. You're doing all the things, but your body isn't changing. And quite honestly, you look in the mirror and think, gosh, it doesn't really look like I work out. And I share this coming from a place of having been there myself. I used to do all the things. I was doing cardio almost every day, hours and hours and hours in the gym, on fitness, on movement, biking everywhere, eating very clean foods. I was vegan. I made everything from scratch. I'm talking, I made my almond milk from scratch all the time. Like I never had store-bought almond milk. I used to sprout my own grains, juice my juice, all the things. And yeah, I got skinny doing that. Like I lost weight, but I didn't look like I was someone who worked out. And after a while, whenever I deviated from my very strict eating, I would gain weight very easily. And I just felt like I never had the look and level of fitness that I was looking for. So if this is you and you're stuck in a plateau, then something's got to give. And I'm going to share with you exactly what you need to focus on. And again, I've been there. And also I've been doing this for 13 plus years. So I got a little bit of street cred here. I want you to really consider making these shifts. Okay, so in this episode, I'm going to break down the exact 3 things that are going to take you from kind of fit to sculpted AF. All right, so the first thing that we want to focus on is leveling up your training skills. You might be already active. You might be already consistent, and your problem is not staying consistent. But what is going to get you a sculpted body? What is going to make you look like someone who lifts? It's not actually spending more time or being more mentally dedicated or even physically dedicated. Successful training is not just about showing up and it's not just about sweating. If you are doing what you're currently doing with your training and it's gotten you to where you currently are, doing more of that is not going to get you further. You need to work smarter and not harder. So what this means is you want to start training with intention and intensity. And if you have been doing self-guided workouts, for example, the Beachbody, the Peloton, whatever home workouts you're finding on YouTube, or you're following a program that you got from someone, but you're doing it self-guided, you haven't really had the feedback on your form and you don't know if you're lifting heavy enough, you're ticking the box, but you're probably not training the right way to build muscle. So what this means is, number 1, you need to be lifting heavy enough. You need to be lifting to the point that you cannot lift the weight anymore without sacrificing your form. And if you haven't worked on this or really worked on it long enough or applied enough effort to this, you're probably not going to know what that feels like. But I want you to know that this is a learned skill, but a skill you want to focus on. So you don't just want to focus on showing up. You want to lift heavy enough weight. And you really want to make sure that you are applying the right form in that exercise as well. So if I'm doing a squat, but I'm kind of like hunched over and my hips are not in the right position, my shoulders, my back, my ankles are not getting enough mobility, I'm not actually targeting the quads and the glutes and the hamstrings like I think I am because I'm doing a squat. And if I'm not lifting heavy enough, I might be doing a squat, but I'm not giving my muscles enough stimulus to grow. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not just about the hours you clock in, it's about how you're spending that time. And how we fix this is, number one, by having a plan. So at the bare minimum, you need to have a training plan that you're going to follow consistently. You're not doing a different workout every time. You're not just going on YouTube or seeing what you saved on Instagram and thinking, oh, this is fun, because this is going to get you nowhere. You can't have that novelty and see results. So work with a coach, get yourself a plan, at least start there. Then you want to get some feedback on your form as well. This is where I would really recommend having an in-person trainer. This is where this is very valuable, or having a coach that can review your form through video. So this way, you know that you're executing the exercise in a way that it's intended, that you're going to stay injury-free, but also do it effectively, that you're getting the most out of that exercise. And you also need to track your weight that you're lifting. And then you need to lift more the next week. And then you need to lift more the next week. And as you can see, all of these things require having some structure and some planning. And this comes back to intention. And speaking of intention, you also want every rep to have your full attention. Like, you don't want to just show up to the workout and say, okay, I'm here, and kind of go through the motions, but you're thinking about laundry and you're watching a show while you're doing your kickbacks and not really paying attention. Like, you really want to focus on slowing down, feeling the muscle engaging, thinking about getting that full stretch, really focusing on those form cues that you should have in place, and really thinking about getting to that point where you are reaching muscular failure, like we talked about. So this is where it comes down to going all in. And I'm willing to bet that even if you've been training for 5, 10 or more years, there is still a way for you to get 1% better. Like, I've been training for, 15, 16, 17 years. Properly, I would say I've been training for like the last decade or so, maybe a little bit less, with a lot of intention. And I'm still refining that. I'm still happy to film myself and either review it by me seeing myself where I need to improve, or we have a kinesiologist on our team. Her name's Francesca. And I'm not ashamed to admit that she is absolutely a wealth of knowledge. And I go to her trusting that she can give me some feedback on my form. So if I can do that as a coach, then you can certainly do that as someone who's been working out I don't know how many years. So always be open to learning more. Now, step 2 for leveling up your physique is going to be to dial in your macros. I hear this a lot. I'm eating healthy already. I am good in the nutrition department. I'm eating healthy. Well, eating healthy is a lot different than eating for body composition. And what this means is, if you are prioritizing fruits and vegetables and you're not eating a whole lot of processed food and you're eating protein-rich foods and really making an effort to just eat healthy overall, like most of us have the big picture here of what that looks like, that's great. You might be maintaining a healthy body weight with that. You might be giving yourself enough nutrients that's going to keep you feeling energized and keep your digestion regular, and that's good. But that does not equate to having a lean body, a sculpted body, and even more optimized workouts. So if you see someone who has the capped shoulders, the flat stomach, the big booty, they're not just eating clean. They're certainly eating a lot of whole foods, but it really comes down to the macronutrients that they're consuming in the right quantities and their calorie intake. So here are some common mistakes that I see coming up with this. Number 1 is you're eating the right foods, but the wrong portions. So you're going to these vegan restaurants, and I'm totally thinking of myself in the past, and just basically having an 80% carb meal and like 10 grams of protein. Or you are vegan and just not eating a whole lot of animal protein. That's a podcast for another day. But it's not that these beans and rice and whatever is bad. It's that it's tipping the scales too far toward carbs and not enough toward protein. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's another mistake I see, is just not eating enough protein overall. Like, you're not tracking it. You think you're getting protein with every meal, but your protein is a couple beans, which is really not a lot of protein. It's actually a carbohydrate source. Or you're having protein with a couple meals a day, maybe like 2 meals or 3 meals, but you're still falling short because your snacks are too high in carbs and you're just undershooting the protein or undershooting your calories. And another mistake I see people make is that they're just not consuming the right amount of calories, protein, or any other macro for their goals. So what I mean is, if you're trying to build muscle, you really need to make sure that you're eating not only enough protein, which is typically about 1 gram per pound of body weight, but also enough carbohydrates, which is about 1.3 times your body weight in grams, is a good amount to go by for building and maintaining muscle. especially when you're trying to build that lean tissue. Because here's the thing, when you want to get toned, you need to build muscle. And to build muscle, you need to have the workouts we talked about that are going to be high intensity and with heavy weights. And you're not going to do that by not eating enough. So those are the biggest mistakes that I see. And there's a really simple fix for this. Number one, you really want to learn your portions by tracking food. This is the simplest thing. And a lot of women are resistant to this. They think, oh, it's going to cause a bad relationship with food, or it takes too much time, or just other limiting beliefs. And I want to kind of dispel these actually individually. So number one, it certainly does not take too much time, because I guarantee if you whip out your phone and look at how much screen time you're getting, somewhere along that screen time, you can fit in 5 minutes a day to track your food. And that's really all it takes. Might take 10 or 15 minutes in the beginning, maybe a little bit longer the very first time, but eventually it's something you can do as part of your evening routine. Before I put my phone away, I typically plug my food in for the next day. That's what I do. Or I do it first thing in the morning after I've had my coffee. It's just my little routine, but you can get into that too. Now, I want to talk about the relationship with food. So I heard this quote before, which is that if you want to have a good relationship with anybody or anything, that starts with understanding. So how can you have a good relationship with food when you don't even understand your food portions? And I want to reframe this too. Not all tracking food is about fat loss. I think a lot of us are really sick of dieting. So we think, oh, I don't want to track my food at all because I associate that with restriction. A lot of the time, we need to actually make sure you're eating enough protein, eating enough carbs, like we just talked about. You need to make sure that your calories and your nutrition is aligned with someone who wants to get fit and sculpted. And that includes not under eating. So it's not just that you're trying to restrict yourself. You want to eat more of the right stuff. And it's not forever. Once you track your food, it will be extremely eye-opening. And for our clients, we actually get them off of food tracking eventually, which is the goal. So you lose the fat you need to lose. You've done the weighing of the food and you understand your portions, and you know exactly what 100 grams of rice looks like versus 300 grams of rice that you were eating before. You understand what it looks like to have adequate protein. And then the food scale does not need to be involved, but you need to do the groundwork first. You need to earn that balance. You need to earn that intuitive eating, girl, meaning you can't just wing it and expect to get results, because that's what you've been doing and you are not looking as sculpted as you want. Got to dial in the macros. Okay, so now we're going to dive into step 3, which is stop letting the small stuff slide. And what I mean by this is we have things that we do that we think are not a big deal. And this can't be the thing that's holding me back. I can't tell you how many of my clients tell me that, or they're stalled out and I ask them questions on what might be keeping them stalled out. Hey, by the way, are you having any bites, licks, and tastes? Oh, yeah, a little bit, but no, I'm not having enough for that to affect anything. Hey, just checking. Are you having any alcohol or any drinks at Starbucks or anything that you're not accounting for? Oh, yeah, I'm having a couple glasses of wine here and there, but it's not enough to stall things out. Let me tell you, those things, and you're probably thinking of something in your head right now. It is. And I hate to say this, but the mindset that these little things don't add up is what's probably keeping you stuck. And this was also me. I thought those little bites, licks, and tastes were not a big deal. I'm like, oh, I'm totally eating on my plan. I'm eating exactly on my plan and a little bit more. I'm eating the plan, but I'm eating this too. Well, that's not keeping me in a calorie deficit needed to lose body fat, which was my goal at the time. It also comes down to your habits, which is a bigger picture thing, like hitting snooze. I have a strong opinion about the snooze button, and that is it doesn't belong in your 2.0 lifestyle. It might sound harsh, but what kind of message are you sending yourself about your goals and dreams and the type of person you are if you just can't get out of bed and you're hitting snooze and you're like, oh, I'm tired? Go to bed earlier. Set your alarm and set up your sleep schedule in a way that lets you get at least 8 hours of sleep. And if you can't do that, then at least go to bed earlier so that you're in bed, even if your sleep is not fully restful and you can't control that and you have young kids or whatever. But don't hit snooze. Don't sleep on your goals and dreams. Drinking on the weekends is another one. Drinking in general, drinking alcohol. This is the thing that keeps a lot of women stuck, and it's the thing that they deny. They think it's not a big deal and everybody does it. You don't want to take advice from everybody because most people are not really in good shape or pictures of health. Would you trade places with them? Are they someone that you admire in that area? If not, then don't listen to the everybody's who are saying drinking and getting drunk is perfectly okay to do. Don't get me wrong. If you want to drink occasionally, that's one thing. But if you have consistent alcohol in your life, then this is the thing that is probably holding you back. For me, this was a really big one. I did an episode on this not too long ago about my sobriety journey, and I knew that this was my missing piece. I was doing all the things. I was working out. I was dedicated to my eating, all the things. But it was those moments where I wanted to party. I wanted to let loose. I didn't think it was really affecting things that much. It was affecting a lot of other areas of my life, not just my physique. Don't get me wrong. But when I cut this out, it was so much easier to stay lean and dialed in. So don't shoot the messenger. Just bring awareness to your habits. That's really all I'm asking. I'm not asking you to make a complete 180 right now. Just really think about the way that you're living your life day to day and what 1% can you refine. That's really what the small stuff is about. It's about dialing things up just a little bit. And if you're a high achiever, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We can always get better, and we always want to be in that mindset. And we always want to act like the person we want to become. And you just have to focus on the next step to get there. So I'm going to tie this all together and come back to exactly what you need to focus on by summarizing these 3 points. Number 1, you are going to train like you actually want to change your body. You're going to train like someone fit and sculpted AF. That means you're going to train with intention and intensity. You're going to focus on your form. You're going to focus on the how and not just the what. Number 2 is you are going to eat with intention. You are going to track your macros for a period of time. You are going to be mindful about how much of everything goes into your mouth, and you're going to hold yourself to a higher standard about these things as well, and make sure that your nutrition matches your goal of getting sculpted, not just being generally healthy. And number 3, you are going to stop letting the little things slide and start focusing on being just 1% better every single day. Just think of 1% thing that you want to do. Maybe it's the BLTs, maybe it's your glass of wine or 2 or 3 or 4 to unwind on Fridays. Maybe it's your doom scrolling at night. Think about what that is for you. I want you to actually take a minute right now and do that self-audit and really think about what the one takeaway is for you that you want to focus on leaving this episode with. DM us on our Instagram, getsculpted.ca, and tell us your takeaway. Tell us your one thing that you're focusing on. We can probably point you to another resource that's going to help you get there. And please share this episode with a friend who's stuck in a plateau. If you got value from this, pay it forward and give it to someone who's also going to benefit. And please consider leaving a 5-star review if you did get value, because that's going to help us reach more awesome women like you and help them get sculpted. It has been so much fun talking about this. You know, this is one of my favorite topics, and I really hope that this helps you level up your standards. Until next time, we'll see you in the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Get Sculpted. We hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take the next step in your fitness journey. Remember, building your 2.0 body is a unique journey for you. It's about showing up for yourself consistently and not being perfect.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review and tag us on social at getsculpted.ca. Your feedback helps us reach more women like you who are ready to cut through the noise and make lasting changes.
For more daily tips, inspiration, and behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and check out our handles in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Get Sculpted. Until then, remember this: getting sculpted isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter.